Hello, Scream Demons, and welcome to the Screams from the Basement podcast with Sam and Casey. I'm one of your co-hosts. I am Casey.
And I'm Sam.
And today we are joined by writer, director of the upcoming film. Well, when this drops, the film will be just out on VOD of Frogman, Anthony Cousins. Anthony, welcome to the show, man.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. We are beyond excited to talk to you about this movie and some of your other work as well. I mean, people might know your work from the segments you did in Scare Package, some of your short films that are bonkers, insane, crazy that just have to be seen to be believed. But yeah, thank you for coming on the show, man, and talking about your new movie.
Yeah, of course.
So, first question we have. Frogman. What is Frogman? It's based on the cryptid Frogman, which I had never heard of until your movie came on the radar. What is Frogman?
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that because you know what? Bigfoot's had his time. So is Mothman. So is the Loch Ness Monster, and it's Frogman's. It's the year of the frog, as far as I'm concerned. Mm-hmm. He's a real cryptid, supposedly in Loveland, Ohio. I think the first sighting was in the 50s. I think it was in like 1955, if I'm not mistaken. And there's been quite a few. There was one fairly recently. Some people playing Pokemon Go when that was real hot. Wandered into the woods of Loveland and saw him. But my favorite part is he has a wand, and that's what really sets him apart from other cryptids. You have your like very plausible cryptids, some sort of prehistoric creature that's got like lost in time but kind of made it, or Sasquatch, a missing link, and then you've got a 4-foot bipedal frog with a magic wand that has been seen shooting sparks from multiple people. You gotta ask yourself, okay, I mean, that's a pretty incredible story to just make up if you made it up. And maybe he's really out there. Who knows? Traveling through dimensions with his magical powers. Either way, whether it's made up or real, I'm impressed by the existence of this thing. So when it came on my radar, I was like, well, this would make an amazing found footage movie. Just imagine like we just like basically almost kind of remake the Blair Witch, but at the end, shit goes haywire with the frog with the wand. Yeah, watch that.
Oh my God, that's awesome. Yeah, Casey and I are both big found footage fans, especially of Blair Witch Project. And the trailer for this definitely gave me Blair Witch vibes. So what made you decide to go the found footage route with this one?
I don't think we ever even considered like a different route when it came to Frogman. I think, cryptids, there's a few found footage cryptid movies out there, but I think inherently they are kind of connected. Like even like the Patterson Gimlin footage of Sasquatch is very found footage feeling, even if you believe that to be real. Like I feel like the feeling you get when you watch that footage is kind of what we're all what we're striving for when we make a found footage movie, like whether you watch it, even if you're completely aware, like, that this is fake, you're still trying to like invoke that feeling in the viewer of like disbelief for a second, like, because you can trick the brain. Even if you are completely aware it's all fake, you can kind of trick your brain into buying into it for a little bit, So yeah, I think when we conceived of the story, it was of a character who like caught that type of footage of the Frogman, and then like 20 years later, present day, decides to go back into the woods and like get more proof because his original footage has kind of been debunked. So he's like, oh yeah, like I know what I saw, so I'm gonna go back out there and get footage you can't argue with. So that story just really lends itself to found footage. I think sure you could tell it the traditional way, but but it really lent itself to that. And I love found footage. I'm a huge found footage fan. I think it's an amazing genre that there is a lot of, like, every single year there's new gems added to it that kind of overlooked, so I was happy to take a crack at it.
That's awesome.
What I love of watching the trailer is, like Sam said, it looks like the Blair Witch Project, but having seen your other films, there's something else there besides oh, it's just gonna end like the Blair Witch. And I mean, I'm excited to see where you guys go with this. Speaking of where you guys go with this, where did you guys shoot the actual film? Because it takes place, in Loveland. It's about the Loveland Frog in Ohio. Where did you guys shoot the film?
It's really funny. I always knew that we were going to shoot in Minnesota because that's where I'm based. That's where all the cast and crew are based. It was just like really efficient to make it there. But it was on my list of things to do to go visit Loveland before filming, and time was getting tight. It was a busy summer. I never really got around to it, but I looked into it, and I found that the town doesn't really embrace Frogman at all. And I even met a couple Loveland locals who didn't even know what I was talking about. So it made me feel like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's not so important that I go visit Loveland then. I think there's a lot of leeway, I don't think there's anyone that's going to be too precious about how we portray Loveland, right? Mm-hmm. And then we shoot the movie in August of 2021. And then in March of 2022, the first ever annual Frogman Festival is held in Loveland.
Oh, no.
And it is a wild success. Like, they have 600 or plus something people come. And I'm like, oh, fuck. There is definitely, it was like, on one end, I was like, oh my God, this is who we made it for, right? Like, okay, Frogman has his fans out there. But I was also like, no, these are diehards that are going, we'll see how they feel about where we went with things, because this is 100% historically inaccurate. But they were kind enough to invite us to the second annual Loveland Festival, which is in a couple weeks here on March 2nd.
That's awesome.
So we're gonna go to Loveland and screen Frogman for all these crazy people. I can't wait.
That's great, dude. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
So obviously the trailer doesn't give anything away, but from the poster art, there's a little bit of a glimpse of what your Frogman looks like. Can you talk us through designing the creature, what references you used, and just the process of building Frogman?
Mm-hmm. Man, yeah, we talked about it a lot because, I mean, you make a movie called Frogman, that's your star. It doesn't matter what else you do, really. You try to make a good movie around it, but you got to deliver on the Frogman. Yeah, and we went through some different iterations of making him look kind of scary, look, kind of sinister or whatever. And I always kept coming back to this idea that just amused me, that maybe he's just a big dumb frog. And there's no intelligence, there's no intention, and people are just projecting onto him, all these ideas and beliefs. So that is how we ended up with the Frogman we have. He's pretty much just a big old frog. And I think he's pretty cool. I think, depending on in what light and, situation you're seeing him, he can be scary, but he can also be kind of endearing, I think. Yeah, but then we may have the script went through some changes during filming, and that original idea doesn't really track anymore. He definitely is he's not a big dumb frog. He's much more than that. But I think it still works.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So question on this, because like you said, you're a big fan of found footage movies, Blair Witch Project. I mean, you can see from the trailer, influenced Frogman. What influenced you growing up, and what did you watch where you're like, I want to make movies because I saw whatever it is?
I mean, I was a horror kid, a Halloween kid from as early as I can remember, and yeah, my parents really fed that obsession. So I was watching Tales from the Crypt when I was way too young. Knew every beat and line from Gremlins at like age 5, you know, like so you know, that early stuff, Dark Crystal, Neverending Story, like those kind of, like, they're supposed to be kids movies, and they are, but there's like some horrifying imagery in both of them. But I will say, when I was like 13, 14, like in that one year, I saw Clerks for the first time, Evil Dead for the first time, and Donnie Darko, and Requiem for a Dream. And I feel like those 4 movies, like when I think of like when I decided like to make film, or like I could even do that, it was those 4 movies. Like Requiem for a Dream and Donnie Darko inspired me. I was like, oh my God, like I don't know, they just kind of like set like a fire inside me. And then Clerks and Evil Dead, that was the first time I ever watched a movie and thought, this is just friends getting together and making a movie together. This isn't like a business. There's not a business model here, or like a studio mandate, or like you could just feel it. You can feel how raw they are, and you can feel that there's something going on off screen that is like there's this connection with these people. And I think it was those 2 movies that really like planted this seed of like, oh, maybe I could do this, or I could at least try.
Hell yeah. Those are 4 like great movies as far as like starting points and inspirations. Clerks, especially for me, was a seminal one, because it was like, yeah, they did that with nothing. They did that with a convenience store that Kevin Smith happened to work at. And yeah, I love that, dude. That's awesome. That's so cool. Can I bring up one of your short movies that I literally just watched today and just loved?
Sure.
Every time we meet for ice cream, your whole fucking face explodes. What a great short. I loved this so much. The color scheme, the set design, everything, like, this is immaculate. Like, A, where did you come up with the idea? Because it's bonkers. And B, where did you shoot this, and how did you get that like pastel color scheme throughout the entire thing?
Dude, that was really, when I set out to make that was really the like the mission statement, was like, make something that feels not of this universe or this dimension, and not of like out of time, which I just learned there's a word for that. I think it's acrochronistic or something like that, which means it's like not of any specific time period. I was like, oh my God, how did I not know this word? Because that's my favorite shit. Like, like Edward Scissorhands, what else? Streets of Fire, The Warriors, like these, you know, It Follows, these movies that just like intentionally, like, yeah, they have the vibe of when they were made, but they just don't put a timestamp on like when they take place. And I love that so much. So that was really something I wanted to try with Face Explodes. It's based off a novella by a guy named Carlton Mellick, who writes the most insane shit you'll ever read. And it'll go to the craziest places imaginable. You know, there's one called The Haunted Vagina, where a guy like crawls into his girlfriend's vagina and goes into another dimension, like stuff like that. And yet somehow, without fail, you get to the end of the book and you're moved, you know. And like often I'm even in tears because like he really is like putting a lot of heart into these insane ideas. And it's not just crazy for crazy's sake. It's like, yeah, he gets there through craziness, but there really is like a metaphor or a motive behind it. And Face Explodes was one of those stories, which was just like about love and the bond like you have when you like choose somebody to like share your life with and stuff. And it's a quick book, you know, it's like 90 pages or something like that. It's a novella. But yeah, the short is really, really just kind of like the first chapter or two of the book.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
And yeah, we shot that in Minnesota. My producer Brianna, I put her on the task of finding a school for us to shoot in that had like, I had this like really specific color palette, and I was like, just find, if possible. I didn't even think it would be possible, but I was like, can you find a school in this color palette? And she found this super weird school that I don't know why, but like all their lockers are lime green, and their lunchroom is like painted those crazy colors in the cafeteria. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This is like gold. And then, yeah, there's this weird old drive-in, this ice cream like milkshake place called the Galaxy Drive-In in Minneapolis, and it's been shut down forever. I think maybe someone bought it and reopened it, but at the time that we shot, it was still shut down. And so I called a guy that does cars in town, like vehicle stuff for pictures, and he brought those old cars that fit the color palette, and like that place is just really that color and that design. And then our incredible wardrobe designer Amanda like dressed all those extras in the color palette so that everyone fit the same world and same vibe, which is, it still blows me away every time I see it, like how much work she put into that and how she nailed it. But yeah, the one thing I really didn't want was any red. I didn't want red anywhere except for the blood.
Yeah.
So that would really stick out. And there was like some red here and there, like on the bus and shit. And like my VFX artist had to like go out and like turn the red, pink or whatever. And just like the more red we got rid of, the more we started spotting, and just like never ended. I think he was like ready to it was like, but I think we got rid of all of it. I don't think there's any red in that movie.
Yeah, if there was, besides the blood, I didn't notice it. That's an immaculately crafted short, dude. I adored it. I thought it was great. So,
yeah. I just rewatched it with my wife, and Kayla afterwards just looked at me and she's like, "More of that, please." And that's all she said and walked away. I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's incredible." So I rewatched. Again, we have a mutual friend, Jameson Fifley, who will come up later when we ask a question he requested that we ask you at some point. But he sent me your short films a couple years ago, and I watched a couple of them and then rewatched them for this. But your shorts have a very unique and distinct voice. What was it like finding that voice in your short films, and in, your segments and Scare Package also have that voice? Is it something that just, hey, this is the kind of movies I want to watch, and so that's what voice I'm putting into it? Or is it, how did you come up with that?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. It's funny because I have friends, peers that are making stuff like Chris McEnroy. If you haven't seen any of his shorts, look up Chris McEnroy. Death Metal, We Summoned a Demon, We Forgot About the Zombies. He makes the most hilarious shorts, and he has such a strong voice, like such a specific, like comedic, like way of writing and shooting things. And I was always like, man, like who am I? Who am I as a filmmaker? Because I feel like, like my first thing was Susurrus. That was what I started with, which is like this body horror thing. And it was like way more successful than I ever imagined. It kind of caught me off guard. And so I barely even enjoyed the ride of that one, because I was already like, oh my God, I just peaked. Like, I don't even know what to do next. Like, I'm not going to top this. And so that led me to saying, fuck it. I was like, should I do body horror again? Is that what people are going to expect from me? Like, should I keep going and be the body horror guy or something? And I didn't have any more ideas. And I did have this idea for like a really stupid slasher kill that I really wanted to do. And, Susurrus cost a pretty good amount of money by my standards at the time. And I didn't have that again. So we spent about $1,000 on The Bloody Ballad of Squirt Reynolds. We shot in my buddy's backyard, and just like, spoofed like camp slashers. Like what I was trying to do was like Friday the 13th meets Wet Hot American Summer in 7 minutes.
You nailed that vibe.
Oh,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's how that came to be. Was I was just like, fuck it, I don't know, this is what I like want to do next, this is what I want to see next, I don't really know, and then like that did pretty well, and I was like, oh man, wow, okay, cool. But I think since then I really have not thought of like what will people want next. It really has just been very organic of like, what do I want to do next, and pretty much everything up until this point has been a challenge because it's been different. It's like, did body horror, then did a like comedy slasher, and then did Face Explodes, which was like, yeah, trying to like create like a very, very visual world and also try to make something cute instead of like gross out, even though a face explodes, like maybe your grandma would enjoy it.
It is. It's a really sweet short. Like it's touching at the end. And I love that. That's so cool. God. Yeah.
And now found footage. I hadn't done found footage yet, so I thought I'd give that a go.
So maybe you're not ready to answer this yet because Frogman hasn't even been released yet, but what's the next genre you want to tackle?
Oh man. Well, if I could do anything, if I had any amount of money, I want to do a horror musical.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
Like very, very in the vein of Rocky Horror Picture Show. Because I feel like it's just a matter of time before someone makes like the Rocky Horror Picture Show for a new generation,
Yeah.
Not that we need to replace it, but like, let's have more of that,
Yeah.
And actually the guy who wrote Face Explodes, the book, he's got a book that I'm like, the second I read it, I was like, this would be the coolest movie ever. And for some reason, I just see all these characters singing the whole time. And so that's my dream project, but that's pretty expensive. I've got so much like ready to go. I've got like Stand By Me meets Pet Cemetery. I've got like me trying to do an A24 movie, kind of just like a relationship drama in a cabin in the woods. I got a lot of stuff ready. It's just a matter of finding some money.
Nice.
So go watch Frogman so that people think that I can make them money, and then I can make more movies maybe.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, let's sell the hell out of Frogman so we can get this horror musical made. That sounds awesome.
Absolutely. Oh my god. That gets me so excited. Horror musicals are like my favorite, like one of my favorite subgenres. I don't know if you've seen one movie that I'm always just trying to champion is Stage Fright from like I think 2014 with like Meatloaf. It's set at a theater camp.
No, I gotta see that. I haven't seen that.
Oh, dude. It's check it out. It's zany. It's like a bunch of theater kids that are getting killed by a dude in a kabuki mask that sings like 80s hair metal.
That's incredible.
It's insane. The kills are just like top notch. It's nuts, man. Horror musicals are totally my jam. So
yeah, dude. Repo, Anna and the Apocalypse.
Yes.
Little Shop of Horrors. Like, there's not a lot of them, but like they're always fucking great. They're so much fun.
Yeah, they are. Mm-hmm. There's just something about them that just, I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, it's just that like two genres that should not touch ever. Collide, and it's always something magical to be seen. Yeah.
The Buffy musical episode. I don't know if you guys are Buffy fans.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
One of the best ever. Like
it's so good.
All right. Should we get to Jameson's question? I don't know what the backstory is.
I think we should.
Because it goes along with, hey, what are you making next, and what do you want to work on? The question our mutual friend Jameson had was, if you were given money, if Disney's like, hey, Anthony, you want to come make a Star Wars movie for us, but it's Mace Windu, what do you say? Yes or no?
100% yes. And Jameson is writing the script because he just pitched me his Mace Windu idea like maybe yesterday. I think it was the last couple of days. And I was like, that's better than pretty much anything they've put out in the last like 3 years. Like I would watch the hell out of that. Yeah, I wish that like Rogue One is incredible. I
Yeah.
love that movie. And a movie I thought I was gonna hate, Solo, I actually really loved. Like I love all the weird chances they've taken versus
Yeah.
like they've done a lot of safe stuff. And I understand you spend that much money on a property, you're gonna want to play it safe maybe. But like just having the word Star Wars above anything is safe. That is
Yeah.
a safety net that you can fall into. So like do something nuts, So yeah, let's bring Mace Windu back and
Yeah.
Oh, Sam Jackson would do it. He'd be down in a heartbeat,
totally.
right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
And
Yeah.
hopefully they don't fumble it like the Kenobi series, but
Yeah. Fuck, bring Jar Jar back. Come on.
Yeah.
If you're ever gonna bring him back, you could bring him back in a Windu, story. It could be on Coruscant. Like,
hell yeah.
It's like a buddy comedy movie where Mace Windu and Jar Jar team up to fight stormtroopers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. That would be incredible. Disney, why are you not paying everybody on this call?
Why is this not happening? Real question though. Besides Star Wars, is there any other franchise you'd love to tackle, horror or otherwise?
Oh man, I feel like there's definitely a lot of answers to this. Oh well, the big one is Bucky O'Hare. Do you guys know Bucky O'Hare?
No.
It's like a kind of a forgotten cartoon, comic, video game from like the late 80s, early 90s. Like I think he was probably part of like the Ninja Turtle copycats a little bit. But he's just a green bunny in outer space with a team. There's like a what's his name? Deadeye. Oh, you know what? Look at this. I got the toys right here.
Oh my god.
That's
this
awesome.
Is Deadeye Duck. He's a 4-armed sharpshooter. They fight appropriately the Toad Armada. Which is just like the coolest. They're basically the Empire, but they're all toads, and they drive toad ships. And this is Bucky O'Hare. But I would fucking kill to do a live action Bucky O'Hare movie and make it
awesome.
Basically like a hard R Guardians of the Galaxy. That would be my dream project.
I would watch that.
I've never heard of that. That's awesome, though.
Oh,
I need to seek that show out. Yeah, that sounds right up my alley. That's awesome.
And you have experience with amphibians right now too. So I mean, it's perfect.
I know, right? It all comes back to that. And there's nothing really adult about the old Bucky O'Hare stuff, but I'm just like, I don't know. It's just got this like grit to it that it should be adult for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, if they can do it with the banana splits, they can do it with anything, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
All right. Well, Anthony, before we let you go, I have one more question, but we need to let the people know, where can they watch Frogman on March 8th, correct? Is that the official VOD date?
Yep, March 8th. Yeah. I know for sure Apple and Amazon and Google. Apparently you can watch movies on Google. So it'll be on there. Probably other places too. Vudu maybe. I'm not sure. But those are the 3 that I know definitely. But yeah, if you look up Frogman on March 8th, you can watch it.
Yeah, awesome. If you watch it on anything besides those, you're a weirdo who just needs to sign up for Amazon and just buy or rent off there. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so Anthony, cool. One last question that I always leave everybody off with. If people go watch Frogman March 8th on VOD, they're like, man, that's not enough. I need some more to watch after this. What would you say is the perfect double feature to watch right after Frogman?
Good question. I mean, Hell Comes to Frogtown comes to mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you want more frogs,
Little Roddy Piper right afterwards.
Yeah. Hell
Yeah.
yeah.
go to Hell Comes to Frogtown. And if you want more found footage, friends looking for cryptids in the woods, I'd say Willow Creek, Bobcat Goldthwait's Sasquatch found footage movie.
Mhm.
Yeah. And then Dagon, if you just want more occult stuff in your life. So there's 3 different, depending on what Frogman excites in you, there's 3 paths you could take.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's
Yeah,
rad.
those are
That's
great
rad.
picks.
Yep.
Awesome.
Oh,
Well,
man.
Anthony, thank you again, man. This
Yeah.
has
Thanks
been
for
awesome
coming on.
chatting with you. We're excited to check out the movie. I mean, this looks incredible and right up our alley. So, congrats on the movie, man, and keep making more. I want to see that horror musical one day.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, guys. Anytime you want to do just a full episode deep dive into the Mace Windu story, whatever. I'm down.
Yeah, we'll get Jameson on for that too, and we'll just go full board
Yeah.
on it. Yeah.
We'll just have a party, man.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal, providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.